Welcome to StraightUpLearning.com. One of the most puzzling things about buying a Macintosh computer, especially for us former PC users, is how can I operate this in the same way that I operate a PC? And one of the things that we're very dependent on in a PC environment is that Windows Explorer window. And we want to know, where can I find my programs, my documents? Where in the world did you go in my Mac environment? Well, Mac does have an equivalent of the Windows Explorer, and that guy is called your Finder. Now here on your docking bar, there's a guy here. Looks like he has a little face and kind of a pointy nose. That's your Finder guy. If we click on Finder, we're going to open up a screen that is going to have all of our stuff in there. For example, within this Finder screen, if you look under devices, you have the Macintosh HG. That is the equivalent of what, guys? Your C drive. You also have here your iDisk. Your iDisk is the equivalent of your CD drive. Here under places you have your desktop, and that's a pretty much familiar general term as in the PC environment. Same thing applies here, your desktop. So if we click on this guy right here, we get to see the stuff that's in our desktop. You also have your personal home menu, which will contain your name. And underneath that, you have your applications. Your applications are the equivalent of your program files in the Windows environment. So if we click on applications, we have all the applications that either came with our Macintosh or have been installed. Underneath applications, we have the mother load, our documents. In the PC environment, this is called My Documents. Hey, the Apple folks just decided to drop the My and just call it Documents. So if we click here, we'll have all the documents that have been created regardless of the application within our Mac environment. Underneath that, you have some searching options, which gives you the ability to search for things that you've searched for in the past. Almost like in your Internet Explorer window where you have sort of like a history. Well, this is the history for Finder. So if I were to click on search for today, it shows the items that I searched for today within this Macintosh environment. I can choose what I searched for yesterday and in the past week, and also all images, movies, and documents. The cool thing about Finder, just like Windows Explorer, let's say I have so many documents and I don't want to go through this whole thing, but I know the name of the document. I can come up here to my search Finder window, click here, and type in something. So let's say I'm looking for a document that I created that said fonts. And I type in here fonts. Notice the screen started moving around and it brought me over to a folder that had fonts on it. Okay, so this lets you know you can search for anything that's in here and it'll put it in the name for you. Okay. Another cool thing, and I'm going to navigate over here back to documents, it's the different viewing features that you have here within Finder. Up here, right above your name, you have 4 different viewing features. Let's look at each one of them from the left to the right. So let's say I click on the very first one right here, and notice it changed my viewing feature from a list view to sort of like a little iconic type view. The next option here is one that we're accustomed to, and that's the list view, and that's pretty much is a little bit different. Notice as I clicked on this option, it kind of kept it in the list view, but it condensed all my other stuff, and it has this blank guy right here. Well, if I turned around and I clicked on here, let's say for expenses, and I look, it gives me a preview of the document. Of course, the document name. It tells me what kind of document this is, which is really cool because it lets me know it's a Microsoft Excel workbook. Lets me know the size of the document, the date that it was created, modified, and when it was last opened. Guys, this is equivalent sort of like the properties in the Word environment, well, the Microsoft environment, I should say, not just Word, but in any other Microsoft program. So this guy right here, this particular view, the third one from the left, will give you an icon and will also show you the properties of a document. Your next view here is one that's pretty cool actually, and it's a little bit different from anything in a PC environment. Let's click on it and see what it looks like. So we click on this view and notice it sort of gives you a little slideshow action going on. This view is called your cover flow view. And if I glide this little guy right here, I can just move it over and it goes to the next document that's there if I'm moving it to the right. And I can also move it to the left and it will do the same thing. Or I can even click on a document and it'll do it for me and just show me what it looks like. For training purposes, I'm just going to go back to the list view for a second. And I just want to show you guys one last thing that we have here. So I'm going to click on a document. And over here in our Finder, there's this little guy here. It looks like a little bolt or a screw, I would say, a tool. If we click on the drop down arrow of that guy there, we got some properties. This enables us to create a new folder within our Finder, or even a new burn folder, which means we could take something and want to burn it to CD or DVD. We can open a document from here. We can open it with a certain application if need be. We can move it to trash, which is the equivalent of the recycle bin in the Windows environment. We can get information about the document, which is the equivalent of the properties option in a document. We can compress this document, which is the equivalent of a zip drive within the Windows environment. We can duplicate this document, which we know that means making a copy. We can make this an alias, and this is the equivalent of creating shortcuts in the Windows environment. We can do a quick look, and that's the equivalent of creating a preview. We can copy this, which is the same almost as duplicating. We're copying this document. And we can provide a label to it. And with labels, you would designate what your labels mean. For example, if we choose red, we can say this is a really important document or it's a document of high security. So, ladies and gents, that's your Finder in the Apple environment. Just remember, everything you're looking for you can get from Finder, and it's the